Good morning, and welcome back to Nerd Rage Gaming. We're at a whole new level of hectic here as we have broken the Nerd Rage Gaming Series record for player entrance in an event. Probably some of the reason we did that is because we're having a Team 10K. This is our first broadcast team event. This is our first broadcast event that includes limited. So let me go ahead and tell you what you're going to be seeing this weekend here. We're going to have 3-seat teams, Legacy, Modern, Sealed, not Unified or anything like that. If you're unfamiliar with team events, the Legacy players obviously play each other. The Modern players play each other. The Sealed players, the teams were able to go through a deck building process this morning. All three players were able to give insight on how they wanted to build the deck, but only one player is going to be playing the limited deck. And then whichever team wins 2 out of the 3 matches will score the match win. I've got 3 co-hosts that are going to be joining me this weekend to walk us through the matches and guide you through how things play out. We have 92 teams, I believe. So that's very exciting for us here in Nerd Rage Gaming. We're going to see the Swiss play out today. We're going to have 7 rounds of Swiss. And then tomorrow morning, the limited players will draft. And then we'll play out the top 8 matches, Legacy, Modern, and the draft decks. Same style as today, except with draft replacing sealed. The players will complete the top 8. And then for the rest of Sunday, you're going to be able to see the Modern 5K that's me running concurrently. So we got a lot of action for you this weekend. My first guest is Eli Loveman, Pro Tour Modern champion. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Eli,
how's it going, Joe?
It's going good, dude. Things are wild here. There's a lot of people in this room. I'm happy to have you join me. We're going to be starting with Modern. You're really just a Magic expert, not just a Modern expert. But
Modern's my home, though.
Yeah, and so I know you played a team event over the summer. I did also. I played a unified Modern one. What was the format of the team event you went to?
There were a few. They had a few with. They were always Modern Legacy. They had a few with Standard and a few with Sealed. So
okay.
Kind of
so you've had some experience playing in team events. Like, how does your mindset change, or like what's unique about playing a team event for people that haven't done it before?
Well, the big thing is that the teammates can talk to each other about lines. So sometimes things like getting a little cheeky bluff attack in might be a little tougher because the Legacy player might be watching and be like, hold up, that seems suspicious from across the table. So that's the communication is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Going to draws, I might not fire up a control deck at a team event because people tend to discuss things for longer. Might want to play might want to play more win conditions or things like that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely things tend to slow down a little bit because the players being able to consult with each other. That's true. And there's also just the leeway that, if you lose your match, if your opponents win, your match is kind of wiped off the books. It's you kind of can free roll if your opponents can carry you. I believe our round 1 match is already sitting down as they're kind of waiting for us as we kind of got things going here. So if we are ready to go, let's go ahead and take us down to our first match. We're going to watch Modern to start things out. And then if the Modern match completes, we'll switch over to Legacy or Sealed to finish up the round. No backup matches here today, or no backup teams, but we do have 3 matches in the feature match booth. So we should have plenty of action for you. And we go ahead and get started here. You can see the little overlay is a little different than what you're used to. Here, we are going to be watching Steven Dykman versus Bill Comminos in the Modern seats, and you can see their teammates and the formats they are playing. Eli, we're going to be watching Grixis Death Shadow versus 4-color. Now, 4-color in Modern doesn't exactly narrow things down right now. It could be elementals, it could be Omnath control, it could be a variety of things. And Grixis Death Shadow, what do you like here? What do you feel about Modern in general right now as we get this match started with a Blood Crypt and Mishra's Bauble versus a Flooded Strand? How do you feel about Modern right now?
Well, Modern Horizons 2 definitely broke the format, just like Modern Horizons 1 did. But the difference is, instead of there being just Hogak or Arkham's Astrolabe, there are a wide swath of broken cards for you to choose from. For example, Solitude, we see in the opening hand.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the most important cards in the set, just in addition to Fury. Being more tempo, positive, reactive cards that you can play means that these mid-range decks can really keep up with all the crazy, everything crazy that goes on in Modern. So they're a lot more viable to play reactive strategy now.
Yeah, I feel like lots of things just are viable. That's kind of, for me, it's just Modern is very broad right now. You can do whatever you want. For example, you can have Supreme Verdict and Ren and 6 in your hand, and that's just something you can do. Being able to use fetch lands to pull up 3-color triomes makes mana bases much more fluid than they may have been in years past. And we see Steven Dykman here with his Thoughtseize selecting the Ren and 6. Yeah. Which is, reasonable choice. Supreme Verdict obviously is going to have an impact on your deck if you're playing Death Shadow, but Ren and 6 is just such a card advantage powerhouse that it's nice to start without not on the board.
Well, the other thing, he only has one more land drop to make, so
right,
could potentially just get the game, snipe the game before it's even started.
Yeah, that's certainly winning games early. These Death Shadow decks are attacking on a few angles, and they're we think it's easy to think of a deck with a bunch of 1-drops as a fast aggro deck, but this deck has game even going into the later parts of a match.
It's just like a more efficient version of Jund. It's not really as there's some versions of Death Shadow that are Zoo style, but you can see that expressive iteration in Steven Dykman's hand means that he's not he can go long, he can hang.
Right. We're not seeing generally these Death Shadow decks in current Modern. We're not looking at Temur Battle Rage try and kill you as fast as I possibly can anymore.
Yeah, they've actually, we see the card on the stack here, Cruxa. Not really. You gotta have 5 cards in your graveyard and 4 mana specific colors. So it's not really a speed. It does do a lot of damage, but it's not necessarily a speed game.
Right.
The other thing about Death Shadow is that Temur Battle Rage specifically has been replaced with Dress Down as sort of a way to speed up the shadows. It's got more versatility than Temur Battle Rage. It cycles. It can do other things, kill construct tokens, stop a Solitude trigger, I believe. But in addition to that, it'll pump the shadows up to their full power 13.
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring Dress Down up on the screen if we can, for players that are not familiar with this within the last year at least. Addition to the deck, Dress Down we're not quite ready to go, but Dress Down is a 2-mana flash enchantment that cantrips, and it kills itself at the end of the turn, but while it's in play, creatures lose their text other than their power toughness. So, for example, Death Shadow would just lose its shrinking effect and just be a 13/13.
Yeah, solid. Well, an awkward thing is that I believe the evoke creatures don't die; they lose that ability.
Mm-hmm.
So you can give your opponent a free creature, but I think the Shadow deck is more concerned about the trigger, the end of the battlefield trigger.
Right. The creatures don't. So Solitude would not die at the end of the turn, and neither would Kroxa, even if you're not paying the escape cost. So Bill Comminos does find a 3rd land here, and Steven Dykman without a threat so far, or at least maybe he's just consulting, giving it some thought as to which threat he wants to play. We do see some more discard in hand and another land drop, so he's certainly not struggling. He's just trying to choose how he wants to play these turns out.
Yeah, he's aware that the hand is Verdict and Solitude, as well as that Ephemerate to multiple white cards to pitch to Solitude, the Ephemerate to combo with the Solitude if he wishes. And both Ephemerate plus Solitude and Supreme Verdict are going to gobble up 2 creatures, but so he definitely just doesn't want to overextend. So easy to map out his turns with a Thoughtseize.
Yeah.
The question is, which one does he want to offer up first, probably.
And throwing cards in the graveyard for Dykman is just going to be good anyway, also, because so he just chooses to pick up Lurrus for the turn. So that's another way to have an impact on the future of the game without actually committing anything to the board for Comminos to kill, because killing creatures seems to be all Comminos can do right now until.
This is a punish for. You got expressive iteration into Ren and 6 is probably the worst thing that could have happened. He was probably willing to sit back and just try to build up enough resources to play around the answers that he already knows are there, but now he's not nothing. Then he doesn't have anything to pressure Ren and 6 with.
Right. So this is going to put Comminos in a pretty nice position. Yeah, you're right. Ren and 6 is a card you can. Dykman can let it live a few turns and not mind too much, even though it is a significant advantage because Comminos is short lands, and this will answer that problem.
Now he has to worry. Now he has to worry about the Solitude coming down. Oh,
right.
Natural.
Now, Yeah, now Dykman needs to commit creatures to the board to deal with the Ren 6, and that's just something that's all Bill Comminos is prepared to deal with right now is creatures on the board. So Dykman's gonna have to play into him instead of being able to try and play around him.
Trying to lock a little late there. He could find an Unholy Heat. I believe that he has 3 permanent types. So if he finds, and he just drew an instant as well, so he's kind of got he's got outs, but we see what we do here.
All right, so probably gonna lead on the yeah.
Figure out how to play this turn.
So Steven Dykman fires off a Thoughtseize here, and he sees Ephemerate, Supreme Verdict, Counterspell, Solitude, and a Flooded Strand that was just returned by Ren 6. So Comminos is looking pretty good now. And Dykman, I mean, whatever he chooses here, things aren't looking tremendous for his side. What do you think? Are we just trying and protect for the Lurrus? Are we going to take the Solitude, or what are you thinking here? Do you have an opinion?
I think, the Solitude is the correct choice. Because of the Ephemerate.
Right.
Oh, and there you go. I guess he did have to leave.
All right, so that was excellent for Steven Dykman. And a Death Shadow. That turn was phenomenal. 3 mana spent. The removal, the threatening removal taken out of the hand, the Planeswalker removed, and then a threat added to the board. That was great. And now Comminos still has removal for Death Shadow, but
much less efficient than getting a 3/2 lifelink. And the other thing about Solitude is that it is not just exiling the creature. You are gifting your opponent the life points there.
Yeah.
Very effective against Death Shadow. You could reset. If you exile 1 Death Shadow, you reset their ability to deploy future Death Shadows. If they have multiple in play, then you detention sphere them. You sweep up the whole squad.
Yeah, that's such a cool effect. So we're gonna see. Okay, Time Warp off the top for Bill Comminos. So he's just gonna burn that and then take a new turn.
Little 0 mana Explore here.
Yeah, exactly.
Lets him hit this extra land drop though and deploy perhaps Supreme Verdict plus Counterspell, or perhaps pick up Yorion while holding up answers.
Yeah, Supreme Verdict plus Counterspell sounds pretty good to me right now, as it removes the threat. I mean, Death Shadow is a 3/3 right now, as Dykman's at 10. So Comminos could absorb a few hits from that, but it does work out very well mana-wise.
I doubt Dykman is going to deploy additional threats into the face of Wrath of God, so might as well just cash it in.
Yeah, you could cash it in, although maybe Comminos, if he holds off the Supreme Verdict and is willing to just take 3-point hits, then it almost kind of delays the game, because like you're saying, Dykman's not going to commit the Lurrus to the board while the Verdict's still in hand. But we do see the Verdict here, clean it up. Counterspell mana is still available, which Dykman knows about. And let's see.
Maybe I would have. Maybe if putting Yorion in my hand was building towards something, I would have taken that line. But in this case, there's no gas, so I'm trying to preserve this relatively high life total and maybe top deck something to blink with Yorion and Ephemerate.
Right. Yeah, Dykman almost got, at least temporarily, got a 2-for-1 in that Thoughtseize, because by taking the Solitude, the Ephemerate is uncastable. And Dykman has a lot of cards in hand. He's 1 land away from being able to escape his Proxa, and we have an iteration here, and this is a tough choice for Comminos.
I think that's a fine play. Expressive iteration is very powerful, and even though you know that Lurrus is hanging out.
Right. So we see afterwards, Dykman throws down his Watery Grave, so he can play his Drown Lock. So he wasn't interested in protecting the expressive iteration. He was just willing to. He didn't want to play the land, because if he got a land off iteration, he wanted to be able to play that. But is able to hold up his counter and then takes down the Omnath, which came off of Comminos' deck. And yeah, well navigated by Dykman here, and has put himself in a pretty strong position, I would say, like with a Lurrus and a Kroxa, which are unopposed.
Yeah, the fear here is some sort of elemental off the top, either Omnath to generate resources, or Fury and Solitude to clean up this to clean up the board that Dykman's about to generate. But I mean, Comminos has no resources. Like this, he better top deck pretty well.
Yeah.
The choices, he's got his Yeah, Dykman has an embarrassment of riches here. You can go for Kroxa, make sure that any elemental that is top deck doesn't get ephemerated. You can go for Lurrus plus Death Shadow, which I might unsure if those life totals are completely up to date, but might be a bit faster than the 6-point swing from the Kroxa.
Mm-hmm. If I'm in Dykman's seat, I would be tempted to fire off the Kroxa and get the Ephemerate out of the hand because a Solitude draw would be pretty devastating in that spot. But that is dodged, and all
I guess
Comminos has.
His last card is Unholy Heat, so maybe the blinking something.
Oh, sure, you're right. He's not vulnerable to that because of the Unholy Heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
So Comminos' turn is spent picking up his Yorion from the companion area of the sideboard, and Dykman at 6 life. So this is 10 power on the board. A lightning bolt to finish the game, but like you were saying, he has Unholy Heat, which is great for all kinds of things except finishing off your opponent's life total.
Yeah, we saw it tag that Renin 6 earlier, something Lightning Bolt would have been unable to do, but worse here.
Yeah. So
another expressive iteration.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much Arena you were been playing over the last couple of months, but there used to be a bug where expressive iterations effect would go on the stack and it would not be removed. We used to refer to it as the advantage bar in our PP testing to see who had more expressive iterations cast during the game. Very effective way of determining how much complaint equity you had at the game of testing.
All right, so here we have this iteration resolving. It looks like Scalding Tarn is in the to be played this turn, and a Ragavan went to hand. Ragavan having dash means it can attack this turn. And
yeah, not the worst for Comminos. You didn't see a disruptive card like a Drown in the Lock or a Lightning Bolt to lock up the game. Ragavan, of course, very powerful, but not going to 100% close out this game.
So if you're just joining us and you're confused by seeing all kinds of players' names and archetypes on the board, this is our team event. First one here at NRG Gaming. We're in round 1. We're watching the modern seat right now, which you're seeing. You can see highlighted in orange the players and the archetypes that we're watching. Seated next to them are Noah Huizinga playing against Lauren Nolen in Sealed, and Larry Fields playing against Ben Weinberg in Legacy. So if the modern match completes as Steven Dykman takes down game 1, then we'll move over to do one of the alternate matches. Meantime, if we have the deck lists for the modern players, let's go ahead and take a peek at those so we get things moving. And Bill Comminos has got some work to do to catch up in this match. We see him pull out the Yorion. That's a mistake that, now that we're back to paper Magic, something that is relevant. Players can forget and do some occasionally forget to re-enable their companions. All right, it looks like we're going to just jump over and see how the Legacy match is sitting. That's Ben Weinberg on the right with Izzet Delver versus Larry Fields playing Death and Taxes. And you can see a pretty crowded board here.
I would say that these are two kind of the premier creature strategies of the format.
Uh-huh.
You have your choice between the Modern Horizons powered Murktide Ragavan blue-red versus the more old school, but still packing a lot of new cards. You can see the Solitude in the graveyard there, Yorion in the Companion Zone, Death and Taxes.
All right, you can see the little white dot filled in next to Steven Dykman's name in the middle match. So that represents Steven Dykman being up a game. So if this is properly updated, then Larry Fields and Ben Weinberg are in game 1, although Larry Fields is adding quite a bit to the board. I believe a card was just played to the bottom of the screen before this Batterskull Skull came down. It's probably a Stoneforge Mystic that is just off the screen. If we can we ask the players to shift? There we go. Now you can see the Stoneforge Mystic.
And he's got a Cogder Complete left over from an earlier Stoneforge Mystic, it looks like.
Right.
So this is potentially going to be able to run away with the game, especially with the Mother of Runes to protect that Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah. Weinberg's got a lot of work to do here. He does have a fairly large Murktide Regent and a Ragavan and a Ponder, which costs 2 mana because of Thalia, Garden of Thraben on Larry Fields' side. There's just a lot going on here.
He needs to find like second Murktide to make it threatening, or 2 removal spells to break up Mother of Runes plus this. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a tall order. Is that a Pyroblast he's looking at? Nah, that's no good.
Yeah, this is so. It looks like consulting with Bill Comminos here. What do you think I should do in this ponder? But yeah, it's gonna be tough as it's not easy to answer Calder Complete once it's on the board, and it's hard to answer Stoneforge Mystic when there's Mother of Runes to protect it. So.
Oh, it was a Dragon Rage Channeler. Wow, he kept that Ponder with the Wasteland and the Dragon Rage Channeler. Wow.
Well,
you can see Ben Weinberg pointing to the Mother of Runes. It's currently owning him.
I mean, Weinberg does have another spell or another card in hand. If it's a spell, remember, with Dragon Rage Channeler in hand, he doesn't necessarily have to draw the other cards left on top. They could get surveilled away. We'll see how that plays out. But Larry Fields is going to activate Stoneforge Mystic, and this used to always mean a Batterskull Skull, and now it often means Calder Complete.
Yeah, it's a little bit beefier.
Yeah, a little bit beefier and a little bit hastier. Weinberg's going to check it out. Like, wait, does this card really have all these abilities? It also, yep, and Weinberg's going to pack it in. All right, so the teams are now even in game count. Well, for the second, but Noah Huizinga wins a game is up a game in limited now, and yeah. So if you're not used to watching a team event, you're going to see how this is going to play out. As we're going to see these dots fill in, and we're just trying to have one team take down two matches. Noah Huizinga, Steve Viking, and Larry Fields up 2-1.
Ooh. Yeah, Torpor being placed into the face-down pilot, I assume, is the sideboard in selections.
Mm-hmm.
Krakus is an interesting one. I suppose it's not the worst.
Yeah, Krakus is an interesting that we see it in Legacy sideboards now as a way to. I mean, we used to see it in main decks. We still do to deal with Reanimator and some legends and things like that. But now occasionally we see it just as an answer to Merit Lage.
Ragavan as well.
And Ragavan, yeah, and Ragavan. It kind of pitches in multiple different archetypes now. So back to Modern. And we have Bill Comminos on the play this time with a variety of lands and Omnath in hand. And
2 Omnaths and 2 Answers. Oh, interesting. And Holy Heat, not normally a selection for the 4-color deck, but looks like that's his weapon of choice.
All right, it looks like the card pop-up window is working now, but we get that Solitude off the screen as we don't need it at the moment. And Stephen Dykman looked pretty good in that first game, and we are going to start with a discard spell again.
I assume an Inquisition of Kozilek?
I assume that as well, based on how the cards were separated there. Yeah, so Inquisition of Kozilek, Stephen Dykman is going to be choosing between the cards on the right, which are Prismatic Ending and Unholy Heat, unable to touch the Omnath. Interesting. Oh wait, Inquisition of Kozilek works a little differently than it used to, as it can no longer take Fire Ice, which is relevant in Modern occasionally. I have had that fun experience, actually in paper, of showing off a hand of Fire Ice and Omnath and my opponent's Inquisition missing. But
somehow Fire Ice being a crucial card to power up those cascade strategies. You would never think of it that way, but
yeah,
that's how it played out.
All right, so we see a bobble here, and this is Bill Comminos fetching a response, and I believe that was the land box being passed, or the token box being passed across the table towards the limited seat. But
yeah, we have you need treasures for Legacy and Modern, and then I guess zombies for limited.
And blood tokens and all manner of things. All right, so here is the Mishra's Bauble activation. And Bill Comminos.
Good man.
Another thing,
revealed card.
Yeah, another thing Paper Magic has an impact on is Mishra's Bauble triggers. You're right. That is something that's not as automatic as it is online.
Interesting that he put the fetch land there. I mean, it's a long way away. Those Omnats are way away, but.
So you're thinking maybe the basic could have come down?
Well, maybe he probably just wants to set up his triumphs while the coast is clear.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying though. But also
get that theory out of there.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of agree with you. Like, I understand playing the fetch land without necessarily feeling the need to crack it, but it is going to be broken here, and
especially since it's a green fetch land, so you can play basic island, and then if you need to play your spell, you can fetch basic forest, and then
sure. The deck thinning as marginal now. I don't know where you come down on the conversation of is deck thinning actually meaningful or not, But
well, he's playing Yorion, so it's probably
right,
a
I
little.
know, but the conversation shifts a little bit more because of this being a Yorion deck. And actually, I believe I misspoke earlier. I was saying that Steven Dykman's team was ahead 2 games to 1, but it was Weinburg losing that game. So, with Larry Fields winning, so actually the Dykman Huizinga Fields team is actually up 1-0 in all 3 formats. Pretty comfortable spot to start the day.
Not too shabby. Yeah, one thing. Yeah, getting the Triumph, because you probably are going to want to put Yorion into your hand if you don't draw something. So I think getting the Triumph there is fine, even if it potentially makes your Omnats not as powerful.
Abundant Growth is nice and all. That is a cantrip, and it does allow the island to tap for any color, but it would have been more convenient for Bill Comminos if that Reflecting Bolt come off the top and Omnath could have entered play instead of us going to have to wait a turn. Although Dykman is going to be facing down some large creature in the coming turns. He's not going to be able to stop all those from coming into play.
Yeah, not enough Thoughtseize to go around. We'll see if he has... How many cards are in Comminos' graveyard? It's a Drown the Lock, a live wire. I believe it was fetch land, Fury, Prismatic Ending, so yes. Yeah, wow, that is a very aggressive play. I did not expect to see that. We'll see how this maps out for him. He's got Terminate, Dress Down as options, as well as a middle card that I can't make out.
So Dragon Log protects the Dragon Rage Channeler, knowing that there are some pretty heavy threats to come. But there is another Dragon Log in hand, so okay. That does make sense. Dykman can hold the board for a little bit, and he's going to get some work done with this Dragon Rage.
He's got a long way to go, though, and Comminos has a lot of threats. That Abundant Growth makes that Yorion into a cantrip. The Omnats are naturally cantrips.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of powerful cards in the stack that he's working towards.
So Dykman at 12 life is able to put down a 1/1 shadow.
And with the Dress Down in hand, we could see... I mean, it will shrink the Channeler, but yeah, we're not going to allow that to happen. Perhaps to Terminate first.
Yeah, okay. You're right. Terminate on Omnath, Surveil on Dragon Rage Channeler.
Thoughtseize hitting the bin is also interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Well, if Dykman does have Dress Down, then
that's 14. So maybe he's looking for a Ragavan? No, that's not enough damage, right?
He may be looking for
if he was at 18 and then got hit by the Channeler this turn, then he'd be at 15, and then it's just Coast is clear.
So I think
like he did draw Thoughtseize anyway.
Yeah, he did Thoughtseize anyway. So this is going to allow the Death Shadow to hit hard. If Dress Down isn't cast, this will allow Death Shadow to hit harder this time. And Surveil again, and Surveil has to happen before the hand is revealed. Ragavan hits the bin, and Comminos reveals Eternal Witness and another Omnath.
Yeah, that's a lot of power. He might not have wanted to play that land, actually. To set up Omnath plus fetch land.
Right.
Eternal Witness being able to buy back Prismatic Ending means that it's probably too dangerous.
Okay. So this swing comes in here. Dress Down is held. So yeah, Dress Down is probably going to be stopping the
He needs to draw. I think he has to draw Solitude here, because if this gets dealt with and then the Dress Down gets hit, the Dress Down connects, then...
Right.
So we have to see what that face down card is. I guess Prismatic Ending... No, he passes the turn. Okay.
Yeah, this is looking pretty dangerous, and there it is. Dress Down.
Solitude, yep. That'll do it.
Dress Down. Now maybe we can pop that up on the screen. But it's a 2-mana flash enchantment, like I said earlier, and it's going to remove the abilities of the cards, which means Death Shadow loses its minus ability and just becomes a straight up 13/13. And Comminos, while our Electoral says 18, I believe he took a shot for somewhere in the range of 6 last turn. So Izzet actually at 18 and was
that Channeler's been chipping away at him for a while now.
Yeah, and was facing lethal damage there. So Steven Dykman sweeps the modern match, and we move back over to Larry Fields versus Ben Weinberg. Weinberg now fighting for his team's life here, as he and Lauren Nolen both need to win the rest of their games in order for the team to win this match.
That rest in peace in play is going to make it very difficult, though.
Yeah.
Limited to 1/1 channelers and 3/3 Murktide regions for full price.
Yeah. And here is a Yorion that gets Force-a-Willed, pitching a Murktide Regent, which, as you were pointing out, is not available at a discount anymore. And yeah, this recipe's. It is likely that Weinberg actually can't get that off the board, so he's gonna have to deal with it the rest of the game, I think. And this definitely puts a crimp in his deck's operations.
Yeah, he's mostly limited to natural old school Delver secrets, and Ragavan on the ground probably not going to do the trick versus the white creature deck.
No. There is a Dragon Rage Power. And I believe Weinberg's card in hand might be a Meltdown, which is a great sideboard card against artifacts, but isn't going to do much against...
Not versus big ones, what the Stoneforge Mystic is about to cough up.
That's true.
Just gonna, I like, even though that's not the most threatening card, I think cutting off the Scries is a fine choice.
So Weinberg's exiled graveyard there. That Dragon Channeler just went into exile along with... Weinberg actually has 2 exiled zones right now. He exiled the Murktide Region to the Force of Will, and the Dragon Channeler just got Swords of Plowshare. And those are in one exiled pile. And then he has everything else in another exiled pile. So there's some...
Just keeping a
inconsistency there.
A rest in peace head count
Yeah.
of which is yeah.
And Weinberg's got cards upside down in his deck, and Stoneforge Mystics coming down for later fields, and Weinberg's got all kinds of problems here. Not limited to just his graveyard exiled zone interactions.
Was the Stoneforge Mystic triggered?
I didn't see it. I didn't catch the... I was maybe obsessing too much over the graveyard interactions.
That is not a trigger you want to miss.
No.
I don't think he has one in hand either. Oh, that's perhaps a way for Weinberg.
I mean,
perhaps a way for Weinberg to get back into the game.
Is it okay?
Oh,
so he's just
something.
Yeah, he just already has... Maybe he boarded some equipment out, or some are in the graveyard already, or in the exile zone. I mean, but the Stoneforge Mystic is going to dump a Germ, which is ready to battle onto the board here. And Weinberg is going to pack it up. And Larry Fields is going to take down this match, which means that the team of Huizinga, Dykman, and Fields is going to win this match. And we shift over to the limited match, but the players are scooping things up as their outcome is no longer relevant. And Lauren Nolen, Bill Comminos, and Ben Weinberg. Good luck next round, boys. But you're 1 to the deficit. So, Eli, this is my first time broadcasting a team event. I assume yours also. This is going to be interesting. We're going to be, if you're watching at home, don't expect to see as many deck lists as you normally would between games, because we've got other matches to switch to. And this should be exciting. I'm looking forward to the rest of the day.
Yeah, you get to get a lot of Magic in there, all different kinds of formats. So you get to use the limited part of your brain, the modern part of your brain, legacy part of your brain. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, so we didn't get any sealed on camera this round, and we will make sure we do that. We're going to start at least one round of each format on a match day. So you will get to see a full match at least of each format. I imagine we'll probably, we have 7 rounds to play with today. We'll probably start each one a couple different ways, so you get to see the full breadth of what's playing here. But we understand that the most Nerd Rage viewers are interested in Constructed, because that's all we do here on this channel normally. So expect to see more Modern Legacy than Limited, but we will get some in. We're going to step away for a few minutes while this round plays out, and then we'll be back. Stick around. Hope you'll be with us all day long.